All right, Stochastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Sunday night with one Eric Lindquist. It is St. Patrick's Day, and I realized I did not wear anything green, so Eric is going to be doing all of it for us here. You've got the background, you've got the shirt. I hope you're sipping a tasty beverage there. What do we got in front of you?
Oh, of course. Yeah, just a little Guinness to get the day going because I've got this. I get to record with my friend Jacob over there and then going to a St. Patrick's Day party with some friends. So just, one to kind of like smooth sail through the afternoon. That's all I need. And then tonight will happen. That'll be fun.
Oh, are you going out somewhere exciting?
Oh, yes. Yes, I will be. I will be partaking in the festivities.
And is that are you going into LA or are you just going to a friend's house?
Going to a bar, like a local bar down the street from us. So we'll not be driving, so everybody be safe out there. But yeah, we're fortunate. One of the coolest bars in all of the land is within walking distance of us. So we're going to walk down there. We've got our dog, his little bandana and his little hat. So Duke's going to be festive as well. We're going to have ourselves some fun.
Nice. Yeah, my brother always dresses up his dog as well, and they usually participate in the local St. Patrick's Day parade. But
So
yeah,
it's a fun deal. It's a fun deal. I mean, it's better than a lot of holidays. I mean, there's some holidays. I mean, holidays are fun because of friends, right? Like that's the whole point is that you get to have an excuse to get together and kick it on a Sunday night or, whatever random day St. Patrick's Day falls on. So, pretty darn excited for it.
alrighty. Well, shall we dive on in here? We've got a lot of moving parts. I even took the step of creating us a top
Oh my
topic
God.
list that basically just is null and void at this point.
Yep,
For those of you wondering, yes, it is true. Boston is favored by 15 and a half, I believe, in
sure is.
Washington.
Yep,
And Boston is sitting three or without three starters.
yep,
So yeah, there's that. And the Wizards, they're just god awful. So
yep.
very, very sad. But we still get to play a little NBA DFS, and of course, even better, we're all dealing with the same player pool. So we will talk through how to approach this because we're running out of people to spend money on. Lindy,
Yeah.
it's that was something I was not really expecting to see today.
Um, I guess yes and no. I mean, it feels like late season NBA, especially a team like Boston. I mean, am I that surprised that they're kind of easing it in? They're like minus 50,000 at every book to lead the entire NBA in wins. So like they're going to be the one seed across the board. They just need to be healthy. So I think they're doing the right stuff. If you're playing from ahead now, like if you're not on pace, remember the Warriors when they went 72 and 9 or whatever it was, 72 and 10 or whatever the ridiculous, right? I think they were 73 and 9 is what it was. But like they tired themselves out coming down to the end of it because they kept playing full blast to go for the record. And it's like, well, if you're not going to win 75 games at this point in time, just kick it. Just chill. So there's that. And then the Wizards just are doing Wizards things. So it is what it is.
All right. Well, playback. Sorry there, my friends. If you hear a little bit of an echo, that'll be my fault. I could not get my AirPods to work accordingly, but I will be popping back in. I will see if I can adjust that. But in the meantime, I want to remind everybody that, of course, we have a couple of promos here for you. One, we're sponsored by PrizePicks today, so that's super duper important. And then two, we've got, of course, the old stochastic avatar promotion. And then three, we're going to talk about getting and acting fast, but getting some odd shopper for just $1 in honor of March Madness. So stay
Mhm.
tuned for that. We'll feather that in as we continue to talk through things here. Let's hit the main news, I guess. I was trying to have a little more fun with this one, but I think we got to talk all the injuries. So,
Go ahead.
of course, we knew that Boston was likely to sit one of Brown or Tatum. It ended up being Brown. They play again tomorrow, hosting Detroit. You have Drew Holiday, who is in. You have Tatum, who is in. And then likely, I suspect Al Horford will start. Derek White is getting the night off, as Eric mentioned.
Hmm.
Uh, the Boston Celtics are, I think they're 8.5 up in the Eastern
Hmm.
Conference and 5 up on either of the Western Conference teams. So they look like they're going to get home field or home court advantage the whole way. On the Washington side, Denny Avdia missing a second straight game. He was a late scratch yesterday, did not feel good after warmups, which of course was after lock because the NBA got an NBA. Marvin Bagley out yet again. Bilal Coulibaly, a late scratch, as is Kyle Kuzma. Tyus Jones missing another game. And then Landry Shamet, honorary mention there, but or honorable mention. He's on the injury list. I can't remember the last time he played. But dear God, I got a call from the Wizards to see if I had anything going on tonight, if I wanted to come down and be the 10th man. And I learned I would be sitting next to ninth man, one Adam Ship My Money Sharer. So nothing like a couple of sub 6 foot doughy white guys out there at the end of the bench. But that they could be in trouble here, Eric. I don't even know who's going to play at this point.
I have no idea. I mean, we're going to just roster so much of this game that it's ridiculous. So we'll have the starting lineups, and I think we're going to see just a ton of Jordan Poole. I think we're just going to see a ton of Jared Butler. I think we're probably going to see a ton of Rashawn Holmes, Patrick Baldwin, the other Champagne that exists there, the Justin version. I mean, this is just going to be absurd. Omarui, I'm very curious if he ends up sneaking into the starting lineup. Obviously, that would be outrageously good. Kispert probably is the least appealing because of a price point now amongst all these guys. But I mean, there's going to be something to mine out from this game in just about every single, multiple things to mine out from every single lineup that you're going to get to. I mean, between Pritchard and Tatum on the Boston side and between Butler and Jordan Poole on the Washington side, I mean, you're going to have 4 or 5 guys in like every lineup on DK with these guys.
Yeah, and that's just going to be a disaster, an absolute disaster.
I don't know if it is or not, because there's some appealing stuff that comes up a little bit later, and I'm just curious where people are going to land as far as like the Tatum ownership. Like, is he going to be 80% owned? Because that's what we have projected right now. I don't think he gets there. It's something like the $4 10K to first today on DK. The $15 50K will probably be higher ownership, but I think there's going to be fun stuff to get to, like a Kawhi Leonard at 8,600. I think getting to Paolo Banchero, who's now 9K against Toronto. We know how bad they've been defensively. I mean, finding ways to spend up and just complete stars and scrub it. Like, there's going to be some fun lineup iterations. I mean, you should just, like, every lineup you look at, every lineup you should have tonight is going to be really high projected, but trying to find like that 1v1, 2v2 type stuff today. I don't know. I'm kind of liking what I'm looking at right now. I've got a couple of options. I mean, Victor Wembanyama, nuke of the night. Let's go.
Yeah, that's sort of the backdoor approach here. Is suddenly he's become more than just a luxury play. We've got all the money we need to be getting to him. He played 33 minutes in the last one?
Yeah, it's inspiring.
Yeah, he ended up with 5 fouls. He had 4 fouls with about 30 minutes.
I mean, I wrote about it. Joker was going to annihilate him. I know that somebody had brought up in the chat, oh, well, Wembanyama had 22 and 11. I'm like, Victor Wembanyama is destroying everybody, and he's going to go up against Joker, and he's going to get completely tooled around, and that's kind of exactly what happened. And yeah, he had the 5 personal fouls, 4 turnovers. It was a weird game to watch, that's for sure. Wembanyama, that's the least involved I've seen him in a month, but that tells you how good Denver is at, like, I mean, you scheme around one guy, and Denver is going to make you pay.
All right, I'm trying to fix my volume here. It's killing me.
That's okay. I can tell. You'll get back to me. Get back to me.
But otherwise, if I oh, here we go, Zoom meeting. All right, try and talk to me now.
Hello, baby.
Oh, there we go. I found a sub thing there in the computer settings. I can put the other AirPod in. Now it's not going to echo on playback. All right, we're in business now, because that's just what happens. So let me pop here into playback, real quick. But
let's continue on our way.
All right.
Getting this much Jordan Poole in The Sims is disturbing. Yeah, but you know who's on his team today? Nobody. Absolutely freaking nobody. It is going to be just the Jordan Poole. I want to know an over-under that you have on number of shot attempts for Jordan Poole today.
Oh, if I was picking it, I'd say like 23.5 feels.
Yeah,
right.
I was going to say my line was 24.5 in my mind. So perfect line by you.
Yeah. That's just it's just wonky. I mean, and the other thing we want to remember is this is not exactly ending up with the same defense for Boston because they're missing Porzingis, they're missing Derek White. We'll see more of likely Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, etc. if they get up big in the game, which is basically what it looks like now. That's less Al Horford, that's more Luke Cornett. It's just going to kind of be a bit of a crazy one today. Have we gotten a new ownership projection yet?
Not yet, no.
All right, so I'm going to get that screen up, and I know somebody is going to probably ask us for tiers. I see that Guitar Z-Man gifted out 5 memberships there. Shout out.
Stud. Absolute stud. Fontecchio got hurt. That would be not good. Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited for the next. Well, I mean, he was like 5,700 or something today. I don't think anybody really rostered him in any way, shape, or form. Did you play the early slate?
Of course. I don't know.
Of course. You don't take slates off. Who am I asking right now? Jammed Duncan Robinson, jammed Jaime Jaquez. I don't think the Jaquez one. 15-4-3. That's decent enough. 4,700. But yeah, Bam on absolute warpath now.
So where did you end up taking any of his PRAs and stuff?
Oh yeah. So I did like a double. So he was 32.5 on pick 6. And then 37.5 was his closing PrizePicks line. And I went for the middle. And right now I would have it if the game just ended. So I would like the game to end, but more than likely he'll score 2 more. If he touches the ball at any point, Detroit will probably foul if they're up here. But yeah, we'll see. 49 seconds left in that one. I've got the golf on too. So we got a lot going on, but I promise I got all my NBA stuff already in and ready to rock. So we're waiting on that Washington-Boston starting lineups. That's going to dictate a lot of what we do.
Yeah, and that's where we're sort of just vamping a little bit here. But I want to take this moment to let everybody know about PrizePicks. They are the main sponsor of the show here. You guys can get some pretty good deals. Today they offered up 4 different bonuses for St. Patrick's Day. There is still one left. It is DeJounte Murray reduced 20.5 points. They had one for Doncic out there earlier today. I can't think of the others. Let me go look at my current. They had Jokic more than 23.5 was the reduced play. And then let's see. Oh, come on.
DeJounte Murray, 20.5 points.
I did not get that. Oh, that's the one that's on now. And then
that's
Terry
coming
Rozier.
Up tonight.
Terry Rozier was the other one today. He was at 15.5 points, which he's already cleared. So you guys got to check that out. I'm going to drop the link into YouTube chat. You come in through our link, you get up to $100 deposit match. They've got all sorts of promotions going on all the time. I like Flex Friday because you can play up to $20 and have it risk-free with any flex play if all the picks occur on Friday. Tuesdays, they do Taco Tuesday, which throughout the day, they'll do 3 of these reduced picks. And they've started throwing in a few here and there for other events like Pi Day. We had a James Harden one, and then we also had St. Patrick's Day here. So check it out. That's PrizePicks.
Did Bam Adebayo just hit a game winner to go over the PRA on me? Oh, he did. Oh, God. I had the middle, and he hits a game-winning 3. I guess it would have been a tie otherwise, and it would have been overtime, so I'd probably lose it no matter what. But Bam Adebayo hitting a 3 to lose my middle is just so painful, EMac.
That is kind of funny. How often do you attempt these middle type things?
Not often, but here's the thing. On pick 6, people aren't playing it correctly, so I don't really care. 32.5 was his opening number. You got Butler ruled out, and so he closed at 37.5. That's a gigantic middle opportunity. And when you got the free square stuff, or not the reduced projection stuff on PrizePicks, it was very, very clear that you should be taking less on 37.5. That was pretty darn inflated. Whatever. It's going to still work out all right because of pick 6 stuff, but oh my God. He also, never mind. This is actually going to be okay for me. He went over 19.5, which was his line there. He closed at 22.5 on PrizePicks. I took some less than on his points prop over on PrizePicks and went for that middle, and I actually got that one, but I had less on that than the PRA.
All right. Shout out for N-Words. He says he's using his 4-month super chat. He says he's happy. How do we handle it? I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that you're feeling happy. So good for you. Everybody should be able to feel happy if that they so choose. So there we go. See how I handled that one? Pretty good.
Wow, Bam. Bam from downtown. How many threes has he hit this year?
Oh, am I guessing 8?
Do you know that off the top of your head? That'd
No,
be
I'm
so
I'm
incredibly
making
impressive.
a wild guess.
All right. Do you want to put anything on this? I'll take
No,
the under of 8. I'll give you, I'll set it at 7.5 and I'll take the under.
I still think it's over, but I don't like to bet with my
3-pointers.
friends.
Oh, it is. No, for his career. For his career, he is 11 for 78 from 3,
Wait,
14.1%. For his
really?
career. That is the 12th 3 that he has hit in his career just now.
Now that is just mind-boggling. I mean, I would have figured he'd get the end of quarter launches here and there.
Well, that's
or
exactly why
quarter
it's as
right?
bad of a percentage as what it is. I'm sure all of those are like end of quarter launches and half quarters. So 11 for 78 is probably like half court shots that penalize him.
Do you
But he
know
doesn't give a shit about his 3-point percentage.
Do you know what he did on Friday?
No.
Made a 3-pointer.
Did
Do you
he
know what
really?
he did on Wednesday? Made a
Dude.
3-pointer. That means 3 games with 3-pointers, 3 in a row. You know what we call
3?
that? We call that a winning streak.
He called that absurd when you're 11 for 78 for your career from 3. Now 12 for 79 for what it's worth.
Let's see. Those.
All right.
Oh, he also had one
Let's
on
get to it.
November 6th this year. But
Yep.
otherwise, yeah. So he's had
Yep.
30% of his career 3-pointers in the last 100 hours. Nice.
Can we do a Sims for the 7 p.m. slate? Yeah, I'll hang around for half an hour afterwards. We can we'll watch the beginning of the games like we have the last couple weeks, and I'll start running some of my stuff on the side from the betting perspective, and we'll do a little screen share. We'll run the Sims for the late slate. We'll take a look at that later for you, Caveman and everybody else. So we'll do that. Nice Major League reference from EMac. Yeah, if it's a movie from the 1980s, you can trust EMac is going to probably quote it for everybody.
That's a good movie. Are you
It's
ever
great.
see Major League? Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
You kind of would have caught the cable days for that, right?
Of course.
The incessantly being on all the time. Yeah.
Of course. It was you couldn't avoid it.
No.
Couldn't avoid it, my friend.
Especially if you were not just a bit outside.
Oh, see, there you go. Yeah. That announcer was so incredible in that. There's something else that
Harry
announcer
Doyle?
was in. Yeah, he was just incredible in that.
Bob Uecker? He's an actual announcer. Mm-hmm. You know that, right?
Yeah. His only 3s this season, the last week. Incredible. Bam Adebayo. What a goat.
All right. We've got Ace of Spades with the usual question. Guess what? I've got them ready. So we've got tiers.
Let's do it. Yeah, just fly through it because we got to get to some lineup building for the people.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
but obviously we are still waiting on the starting lineups, and again, that's going to be such a big part of it. So we're talking pretty hypothetical until we get those lineups.
What do you got here between Jason Tatum and Victor Wembanyama? I'd lean
Tatum I love
Tatum.
Wemby, but like it is Tatum for sure.
All right. Tier 2, Paolo Banchero, definitely against
yep.
And there is only 2 choices. You get Emmanuel quickly as your other option because Kuzma and Jaylen Brown are out. Franz Wagner looks like a pretty good call there in tier 3. The alternative would be Mikal Bridges. Drew Holiday absolutely is your tier 4.
Yep.
You could go with Jordan Poole if you're trying to be a little bit different, but I'd probably just take Drew Holiday. Tier 5 gets a little bit interesting. Would you go with Clint Capella or Al Horford?
I would go with Clint Capella. No, Al Horford. That's wild run out.
Okay. And then the last one, Wendell Carter or your boy, Ivica
Zubac.
And then on the outside, Corey Kispert. Would you risk that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
There you go. Alrighty, let's talk a little bit more as we're waiting for these lineups. We can cover a couple of the other moving parts. We hit on Wemby. That's a key one. We've got our late game here. We don't know what's going on with James Harden. He has missed the last 2 games with a sore shoulder. If he is really dealing with some issues, this would be another one that would make it a good time for him to sit out because they are playing the Atlanta Hawks, who, of course, are without Trae Young. You've got Zubac versus Capela here. They were in different tiers. How do you like those guys head to head? You were just picking one.
Yeah. So, I mean, between Tatum and Wemby?
No, between Zubac and Capela.
Oh, Zubac and Capela. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, one of the major things that we have to figure out is Rashawn Holmes starting. What happens with Omar Rui? Al Horford, I think, is pretty locked in power forward center eligibility. We're waiting on some of that news, but Zubac is one of my favorite like lower owned options on this slate, sub 10%. The minutes have been all over the place lately, but you saw against the Bulls, he still got up to 32 minutes. They didn't go small. Against the Pelicans, against Larry Nance and company, they did not go small. 33 minutes. Hasn't smashed in the box score, and I think that that's kind of a relieving thing, because I think you're going to get him pretty low owned. He's a 1.05 fantasy point per minute producer. He's in a price range where 5,600, I think people will probably be inclined to click it. Will click on Clint Capela. There we go. That was a tongue twister. 1.2 fantasy point per minute guy there for a little bit more in the same matchup. But like, I think the minutes are pretty darn certain considering it's him and Bruno Fernando just straight up splitting the center minutes. James Johnson's back. Like, I think Zubac just has a very, very clear path to being on the floor for 30 plus minutes again. And as much as Rashawn Holmes should be the guy that we get to a ton, if he ends up starting, as much as Wendell Carter's in a great spot against Toronto and Olynyk and company, and Al Horford, power forward center eligibility, and Wemby, my favorite guy to get to at center period, I just love getting to a little bit more than the field of Zubac. Currently have 24% of him, and I'm pretty happy with that.
All right. Sticking with that game, how are you feeling about DeJounte Murray as one of our pseudo pay-up options?
Yeah, I mean, the matchup against the Jazz that was just oh so enticing. Gotta say, though, if you watched it, if you paid attention, Jalen Johnson pretty involved right from the get-go. DeJounte Murray still got his, but this is a very different matchup. Sure, it's Clippers, where if you want to attack them, you probably do it, James Harden and company, but I got to think that they're going to throw a lot at DeJounte Murray here. It's not nearly as good of a Jazz spot. It's only a 221 total relative to whatever that was, 244 or whatever we were looking at the other night for the Jazz game. But Jalen Johnson being back and being as involved and playing as much as he did right from the get-go, 34 minutes, you're going to see 36 minutes and 23 shot attempts, something like that. My God, it's going to cut into his fantasy point per minute rates. He's playing a ton. He's still going to be a decent enough option, but with the tag up to 9,800, I prefer Wemby. I prefer by a lot Tatum. I think everybody does, but we'll see. I mean, obviously, if he gets to be 8-9%, you're going to be pretty happy come the flip there, but I'm a little bit worried that he gets a little steamed up. And relative to the other spend ups, I just don't like him as much.
All right. Shout out to Chris Williams, our favorite Apple guy. He dropped in 5 stochastic YouTube subscriptions there. That gives you the ability to give out the little funny gifts and those sorts of things. So always fun, always appreciated. He was hanging out there in the old playback last night. So I just dropped a link there to playback in chat. We will have that up and running again tonight. Last night, I stayed up as late as I could. I made it till almost 10 o'clock. I kept making sure that you got to push that button. Every 30 minutes, you got to push the button. And if you don't, it's like
the retirement home doesn't stay open later than that.
No, and then I got up at 5 this morning. It was no bueno. This whole packing thing is weighing on me. I can't sleep. My poor wife has been getting up at 3 most days because there's just so much to do. But in any event, you guys can hang out there. We have about 1,700 people have joined that, but we're watching the games after lock, and then Monday through Friday, you're going to get a couple hours of hosts on there. Eric and I'll stick around for a couple minutes tonight, but then he's got big evening plans. So, and I'm making dinner for my wife. So those are the nice things. Here we go. Jamal Parker, do you have some pick 6 on DK that you would like to throw out?
I have so much pick 6 going today. It's absurd. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you and yours. I jammed. The reason that I decided to play was they had all of the Milwaukee Well, just two guys. You had Brook Lopez, you had Damian Lillard. They were the only two that got posted before the Giannis news. I just jammed 100% of those two. Brook Lopez didn't get to points, which is sad. He was under 11.5 points, but he hit his PRA. He hit his rebounds pretty convincingly too. And then I just playing a ton of like these 5 and 6 pick cards because I'm like, well, you kind of get two, not free squares, but like 6.5 was Damian Lillard's assist number. And I think he had like 7 in the first quarter. So that was useful. We're going past that here. A couple of them that I'm paying attention to in the evening window. I thought getting to more on Nick Claxton, not somebody that we normally would think about here, but they're going to add him eventually here. They don't have to shore up the entire picks here yet, but we'll see if they solidify the picks for this next wave of games. But I'm curious to see if he even gets added. If not, just bypass it. But 26.5 points is what's listed for Kawhi. I like less on that. I think that that's a pretty straightforward one. It's 25.5 everywhere else. And obviously we're assuming that people aren't as sharp and shopping lines over on pick 6 still. And until they do, I just think you find the best plays that are off and you continue to capitalize on it. Another one, 19.5 points for Franz Wagner. Less on that one as well. I think that one's a good one, Jamal. And then we have nothing from the Boston Washington game that is showing up on my sheet. So that's fascinating. What is the best one from Atlanta LAC? My sheet says less on 38.5 for DeJounte Murray as well. So if you head over to Odd Shopper as well, you can look at the PrizePicks entry builder. You can do a little bit of cross-referencing, seeing what the true odds are. James Harden assists is sitting at 8.5 over on PrizePicks right now. And then you can jump over and see on pick 6 that you've got no assist line for him at the moment. We'll see if that gets added as well. But just a constant balancing act of things. But let's stick with those two. Less for 26.5 points for Kawhi Leonard, less than 19.5 points for Franz Wagner.
Alrighty, I think that hits most everything. Let's talk a little bit more about the Wizards. Now we will get that starting lineup here shortly, but how are you feeling about Jared Butler? He played around, going from memory here, about 22 minutes last night. He was 2 for 5 from the field, 5 points, 1 assist, 1 steal, 3 turnovers. Bilal Coulibaly actually played pretty well, and then Justin Champagny played pretty well.
Yep.
Raw minutes are going to be there. This is a don't dwell too much upon last night, but how are you feeling with such a dysfunctional offense at this point? Are there points for someone like him to get to?
For Champagny?
No, for Butler.
For Butler. I mean, yeah, there's going to be minutes. That's the main thing, is that minutes exist. And like, who else are we going to see play the point? Like, I'm assuming we get
Cool, right?
Yeah, yes and no. My assumption is that we get Johnny Davis starting, but I don't think that we're currently under that assumption here with our projections. Let me take a look.
So Johnny Davis last night.
Yeah, so Johnny Davis is projected for 19 minutes with us right now. I'm a little bit worried that he ends up being the guy who gets the start. He has small forward eligibility, which would be useful to just kind of lock that in at 3,300. But I have a little bit construction than what we have currently. I'm also really hoping that we get Omer Rui, because I don't think enough people will be jamming him quickly. And I think by now, if you've watched Omer Rui, he's going to get going in terms of fantasy point per minute. He is a motor. He's got a 25% usage, 1.2 fantasy point per minute player. So I'm maybe this is wishful thinking, but like currently right now, I have listed for my starters Jordan Poole, Johnny Davis, Corey Kispert, Omer Rui, and Rashawn Holmes. It wouldn't surprise me if we got Champagny. It wouldn't surprise me if we got Jared Butler. But I know right now with our projections and the way things are panning out right now, if we get the lineup that I think it is, I think you're going to get Davis and you're going to get Omer Rui under-owned relative to their chances of succeeding the further this gets closer to lock without that lineup. So I just have a difference of opinion on who starts. I don't think there's any like crazy logic that I'm putting towards it other than like, I think those are the guys that are more likely to play more because we've seen Davis play teens minutes for a long, long time. Jared Butler is somebody who's kind of like started to get into the mid-teens minutes of late. They can do whatever they want there, but I hope it's the lower-owned guy with small forward eligibility that ends up being the guy that we can jam instead of the 3,800 point guard that I don't find to be particularly good, even though he is a fantasy point per minute guy, and you just play like as much of him as you could if he starts.
Yeah, you've looking at the rest of their lineup. I mean, Anthony Gill, Patrick Baldwin Jr. No, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so somebody
they're
said
running
Baldwin
out
going
of
to
that.
start. That wouldn't be the craziest thing
Yeah.
either. But I think he's behind Jared Butler right now. And Johnny Davis, again, I there's a part of me that if they're going to play Poole at the point, I think Johnny Davis is somebody who can ball handle, or they just have Poole do it and you put Johnny Davis to the two. But for me, it's more of like the 3,300 small forward eligibility just seems really, really fun to lock in. I would probably, I mean, what would be terrifying is Jared Butler is a good fantasy point per minute player. And trying to decide between him and Baldwin in lineups where you weren't sure what was going on, like they both have singular eligibility on DK, where it's point guard only for Butler, power forward only for Baldwin. Again, we're talking hypotheticals, but like just thinking about what else there is to pay up for on this slate, we have Tatum, who is going to be crazy popular and should be at 10K, but small forward, power forward. Butler gets a little bit of a downgrade because he exists at that power forward spot and, just kind of is what it is. Wemby, who's the most expensive player on the slate, I'm obsessed with getting to. But, you can only play two centers, so that is what it is. But, oh boy, here we go. Baldwin is starting. There you go. Poole, Champagne, Kispert, Baldwin, Holmes. Now we can actually do things, EMac.
So many of these guys can playing multiple positions, but not good at any particular one of them. Just kind of why they're all tweeners, is what it feels like. So Poole is your offense, Holmes is your center, and then everybody else is basically interchangeable. They can all play 2, 3, 4, including Kispert, who can masquerade in 5-out situations.
I mean, this is a back-to-back. I thought maybe they would change some stuff up here, but it would appear that we are just. Well, Baldwin Jr. did not start yesterday, so that is different.
Yeah, the Wizards have no height on this team.
Yeah, they don't have it if they're fully healthy.
Yeah, I mean they're all like everybody caps out at 6'9".
Yeah, Kuzma's 6'9", Gill's 6'8", 6'6" for Rui, or 6'6". He's like
6'10".
undersized.
Yeah, it's
unbelievable.
Not huge. Yeah, Gill 6'8", 230. Holmes 6'9", 230. Yeah, Kuzma 6'9", 220. So
I mean, good God. But yeah, just what is this lineup? I mean, it's just so insane to see this lineup without Kuzma, without all the usual suspects. And again, Jordan Poole, welcome to the program. Any concerns about his usage? No, zero whatsoever. Poole and Kispert taking all the shots. Yeah, they're gonna just chuck. I mean, Kispert is kind of a weird one because he's 5,700. He is completely shooting dependent. He's 2.5 rebounds, 2 assists on my sheet per game. That's interesting. I think the first thing to really hone in is like we got Baldwin starting. He's 3,600. Oh God. I mean, this is going to be so hard to get away from just jamming this team today.
Are we concerned about Poole being pulled to a block? No, because every game the Wizards participate in is a shit show. So I
will say, I mean, he's the first guy to go. If this game, I mean, they're still 15-point dogs at home, which is hilarious. Because Boston's without 3 starters themselves, or 2 starters themselves, Jaylen Brown, Derek White. But that just tells you how good Boston is. And I mean, we've seen Sam Hauser come in and just be a flamethrower now and just ruin my life. I am very, very curious how when we get updated ownership, I think we'll be able to talk more in absolutes. But
right,
I mean, this is just so unavoidable getting to like 3 of these guys in every lineup.
Yeah, I you know what? I'm gonna soften my statement a little bit there. This is the 5th game in 8 days for the Wizards. So
unreal.
Poole theoretically may, but it's hard to tell because the starters were all pulled in the last game, last night with 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes to go.
Mm-hmm.
The game before that against the Rockets, they all got pulled with like 7 minutes to go, or whatever. So they're not playing heavy minutes.
Mm-hmm. Hey, shout out to producer Jacob over there over on Playback. He's pulling up the player compare tool for a couple of the bench guys. We had Mada BT. He ended up asking a question about Baldwin or Rui. between Baldwin and Omarui, it's definitely going to be Baldwin, considering he's the one starting now. But then looking at Omarui or Johnny Davis, I mean, we're looking at bench guys here. Omarui, the exponentially better fantasy point per minute option, exponentially more likely to be optimal. I mean, now with Johnny Davis not starting, I have zero interest in playing him.
All right. Malakar asking if Champagne has a brother. Why, yes, he does. He has a twin.
Oh my God.
The Spurs, the Wizards, the Champagnes. There you go.
Unreal.
Popping bottles in the club. All righty, let's. I've been hit with a few shells. I don't walk with a limp. No,
I love you, EMac.
not so much. Fitty, he's pretty good. I don't know what you heard about me, but
I feel like Eric isn't listening to EMac. No, I'm trying to like turn
he's doing
thing
17
down.
things at once.
I'm doing a million things right now. I'm doing everything I possibly can to give you good information in the next however long, and also got to build some lineups, and also trying to be trying to just figure out. I mean, this is just such an important part of the slate, and it's the very first game. And so if I say something incorrect, I still have Omarui interest for what it's worth. I mean, I still think he's the guy that this game gets wonky. He gets blowout run. He's going to be optimal. Even, I mean, we have him at like a 6-7% optimal percentage. I think that's probably perfect within like construct of like this game stays 10-15 points the whole way and just is what it is. But like 22 minutes of Omarui is probably enough to be interesting. And there's no reason that they can't go 24-24 between him and Baldwin. I mean, Baldwin, what's his season high for minutes on the entire year? 16, 18?
I was going to say 23.
Let me find out. 18. That was a very good guess off the top of my head there. January 13th. So like, I think there's a pretty good chance that like, just, I mean, not calling it a hot hand approach is a little disingenuous. This is just them tanking and not caring. Develop some talent. Omarui is far more talented than Baldwin. I'm going to play a lot of Baldwin, but like, I just want to throw out that I think Omarui, power forward center, pretty appealing. Pretty appealing as a tournament play still.
All right.
We got O'Shea Brissett starting. Just here we are. My dear God. No Peyton Pritchard. Hauser starting. Brissett starting. All right. We ready to party, everybody? Because O'Shea Brissett is 3,100 at power forward. We did not need another power forward to be interesting right now, EMac.
No. So while we're letting the popularity projections, player popularity update, Sean has a $1.99 super chat. He says, how should he position things in case Harden does not play? You're going to have unlimited value now. You may as well grab it. What are your thoughts on Bones Highland later?
Do
you like him better than any? I mean, I guess he moves ahead of.
He's 5K now. No, so he's 5K, and I think we saw very clearly that like if he's not knocking down shots, he's not going to close. Played 24 minutes. I think it was kind of a mistake in hindsight on Friday. And I don't say this because, you know, he didn't torch the entire field. He only had 9 shot attempts against Chicago. He had 11 assists. We got to look at that with a little bit of a different lens here as the price continues to go up. I think Bones Highland would be a phenomenal tournament play if you could say that James Harden is not going to play here. And if you ran into like, you know, the opportunity for him to go nuts. But like, I truly think that like right now you have him projected for 12 minutes. And it would be hard for me based off of what we saw last game to go beyond like 27 for a projection for him now. So if you just say 0.9 fantasy point per minute player, 27 minutes, you're going to have a projection of around like 25 fantasy points at 5K. 5X is nifty. Not on this slate, it's not. It is not nearly as appealing to try to make this kind of a risky play on Bones Highland, where you, 1, need him to go out and smash. 2, you need James Harden to get ruled out. 3, you need to have him starting again, which isn't a foregone conclusion. And 4, you need him to probably close, and that's not a guarantee unless he is smashing. So like, there's a lot of things that have to break his way to become like a slate changing piece. And sure, you'll get him at like 0.1%, 1% or whatever. But like, I gotta think that the risk isn't worth the reward here. I'm far more inclined to just play tons of Boston, Washington, let the pieces fall as they may in the Sims tool, if you want to build out one lineup or two lineups in your 150, or if there's something really, really chalky that you like that just lands on 5K, go right ahead. But I'm not going to make any kind of concessions to try to get to Bones Highland based on the fact that, like, he didn't shoot the ball well in one game. He shot the ball really well in the other one. And it just came down to like, oh, that's the difference between him putting up 45 in closing and him not and putting up 19 like we saw against the Pellies.
Yeah, that makes sense. The only other slide path for him is Norman Powell left Friday's game with a bruised lower leg, but we don't know his status for sure yet. He's questionable.
I think that has more with Amir Coffey in play, just because they've tended to like push man over. Again, maybe I'm just talking out of my ass, but just from watching the games, it would appear to me that like you're going to see more Amir Coffey in that kind of a spot to replace Powell than you're going to see like some influx of minutes for Bones Highland. Plus, we have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George out there still. They're going to be involved. They were the two guys who were on the floor with Bones in that Chicago game too. So I'm not saying that Bones can't do it, but now that his price tag is 5K, that's a lot different than 4,100 that we saw against Chicago or 4,300 against the Pelicans. Like 5K, a lot has to go right for him to pay that off.
I saw somebody asking in chat about Gary Trent unders. I do like his unders. I like Quickly's unders, and I wrote up Kelly Olynyk for his unders. Okay. That's all because they're playing Orlando. It's going to be theoretically a slower paced game, and they're missing so many key people on offense. Yep. You're going to go down to the wire. We need to understand that the unders are going to be live until the very, very end, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Somebody asked, is Peyton Pritchard still playable on FanDuel? Let me take a look. We haven't talked a ton of FanDuel. He's 4,100. We had a crazy high projection on him because, again, he was assumed to be the guy slides in starts for Derek White. That did not happen. There's no reason that they couldn't have started with this iteration, but like just seeing O'Shea Brissett gave me a little bit of like I don't want to be here right now. Because like figuring out what I want to do at power forward is still interesting. He's 4,600 on DK. That's not very interesting. On FanDuel, I'm assuming I'm going to still get to him. I run it here. Yeah, he's still fantastic. He's still over 50% optimal at 4,100 over there. You're going to get the blowout run. You know you're still going to get run, period, there. You're not going to have Drew Holiday play 38 minutes against Washington today. I still like him for FanDuel purposes for sure.
All right. And that was the other thing I wanted to chime in on. With Drew starting and no Derek White, it sort of makes sense that Pritchard is kind of going to stagger a little bit with Drew. They're going to play alongside together a fair amount as well. So this tempers our expectations a little bit, but definitely not horrible by any stretch. All right, just got some good. We'll look at DK cash locks, but I'm going to tell everybody about the cool deal that we have going on right now. It is the Odd Shopper for just $1. Yes, I'm going to say that again. It is Odd Shopper 1 week for just $1. It's madness, and so is the promo code. Promo code madness gets you Odd Shopper for 1 week for $1. This offer is from today, Selection Sunday, until tip-off of the tourney,
Iowa State, baby,
Eastern on Thursday. You get everything, though. So you get a full week of Odd Shopper. This gives you access to everything, the tools, the Discord, the picks, everything for college basketball and all the other sports. This is what we call in the business a no-brainer. That is Odd Shopper, promo code MADNESS, $1 for a full week. That's just like a mic drop right there.
Love it. I mean, honestly,
it's gonna sell itself.
You've had 250 years of practice, you fucking vampire. I'm glad that you can do an ad read.
Hey, we had a lot of signups yesterday. Apparently, we had 8 or 9 signups during the show.
These are beautiful things. These are beautiful things.
Greg and I were fighting over the reads. He didn't like how I was doing them, so he was correcting me.
Well, guess what? Greg is a very disingenuous, sad, frail little man. So like, it is okay. Our friend Greg, no, he's fantastic. If he's giving you direction, EMac, it's because he loves you.
Yes. I'm going to drop. Odd Shopper is the Odd Shopper site, but if you put in the promo code Madness, it'll be there for you for $1. All right.
Oh my God.
Cash game plays for DK.
Let's see. Oh, cash game plays. Let me finish with the Sims tool here because I was running everything multiple times, trying to update for Brissett, update for everything here. I want to just be very, very I wanted to be cautious about giving like, oh, this is my favorite play from
Yes.
Washington or Boston, because everything was dependent upon this news. The entire slate is dependent upon what happens with your lineups in this first game. So you've got the two games locking right now. One is obviously far more important than the other. If you need me to tell you which one that is, maybe unreg, although you probably can't at this point. It would appear, friends, that you are in the middle of just jamming, and I do mean jamming Washington here. I see no way around jamming Jared Butler, Jordan Poole. I see no way around jamming Champagny in some capacity, although he is the one guy that there's a part of me that wants to give him the little bit of a downcrease here because he's a 1.2 fantasy point per minute producer, but like he's going to be alongside Poole here. They're facing Boston still. It's 15-point spread. He's 3,100 though. I mean, I'm kind of like conflicted to a certain extent. I think for cash, as I am rerunning this, you gotta play Jason Tatum. He's the first person that you're clicking into your lineup. You're probably going to click on Rashawn Holmes second. There's just no way that you're going to enter this slate without him in that spot. You're not going to play this slate without Jordan Poole, and you're probably not going to play this slate without Jared Butler. So Patrick Baldwin, there's just so many good plays here on the cheap that you're playing. I'd probably be playing Wemby as the other center in my lineup. I think that there's just too much volume to not do that today.
Yeah,
or too much cheapness. Yeah.
Where does Wemby slot in? To
Tatum isn't starting. What are you talking about? Does he not have a check mark next to him on DK? Is DK trolling?
I think they got.
I see Tatum with a check mark next to him.
The green check. Oh, it's St. Patrick's Day. It's a green check mark day. There we go.
Stop it. I'm going to save my 150 here. Hang on. Let me now tell you what I ended up getting in my run here. Jordan Poole, Jason Tatum, O'Shea Brissett is 3,100. I mean, he is just jumping all over the place for me now. Champagny, Butler, Baldwin. I mean, that 3,100, like, not like we need the value or anything, but like, O'Shea Brissett is starting. I put him in for 26 minutes. He's a 0.85 fantasy producer, and he's on the exponentially better team. He gets the upgrade of matchup. I mean, son of a biscuit, dude. This is the weirdest slate that we've had in a long time.
It is. It's a couple of people saying, are we going to talk about any of the other games? We have. We're going by position. Since there's only one show.
EMac, I have one thing I wanted to ask you about, because I think that this is probably where if you're trying to take advantage of the news of James Harden being out, don't you just want to play a lot of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George in lineups together?
Absolutely. Those that's the path to go to. I'm just assuming Harden is out.
I'm with you.
I called it out in the article, the free DFS building blocks article today. Called that one out, gave you the free pick of under PRA for Kelly Olynyk. Talked a little bit about DeJounte Murray, how I think he's a good play. And here for the grand finale here, Eric.
Okay.
Did you know that over the last 10 games, the Clippers are a bottom 10 defense? They're allowing about 116 points per 100 possessions. That is actually worse than Memphis and I forget one of the other three teams that DeJounte Murray hammered over the last 5 games. He's had 3 games of 50 fantasy points. All were on the road. But it was Memphis and might have been Chicago. I can't remember now for sure. But it's like I was shocked at how bad their numbers were.
Yeah.
10 still a small sample size, but DeJounte goes to a 1.3 fantasy point per minute player with no Trae Young, and that is a 30% increase in his per minute adjustment or efficiency.
Look at you. You know stuff. Yeah, I think getting to that game and getting to those 3 studs makes sense. I think as I'm just looking at my lineups now, we have unlimited value, but you're going to get Kawhi and Paul George north of 45 fantasy points for a projection in the event that you get James Harden ruled out. Like, I want to be getting there. And then, yeah, I like the DeJounte Murray call out here too. But again, I'm just a little bit trepidatious because of what we saw from Jalen Johnson first game back. I think that's the one thing that has me a little bit nervous about going like heavy in his direction. I don't completely hate it by any means, but again, we got to be very, very smart about how we go about putting together lineups that have a real good chance of success today because there's so much overlap. I think I want to play Kawhi and Paul George together. I want to play them a lot together as opposed to just one of them. And I hope you get the news to break your way. I think for me, that's going to be something that I'm just taking a little bit more of a like a pray it breaks your way approach in a couple of lineups here. Not going to use it in my entire allocation, but like I'm more than likely going to play them together or not play them at all.
Is there any way you can make that work in The Sims?
Yeah,
What is
so
your trick?
the best way to do that is
Oh,
then go
filter.
filter your lineups
Yeah.
and just have it be, you click on where it says simulated ROI, go
Mm.
to the util and just have it be, or the specific positions for Paul George, and have it be your top sim ROI lineups where both of them show up. So I'm going to type in George in the util here. So Paul George, and then I'm going to go to another one, and I'm going to go to the forward spot, add filter, and I'm going to go to the forward spot, and I'm going to go to Kawhi. And now I have my top sim ROI lineups where they both appear. I have one that has 312.2% simulated ROI with both of them in. That makes me happy. Then everything else is in that mid hundreds. Then there's a little bit of a drop off, but like I'm going to pluck 3 or 4 of these for like 20 max. I'm going to pluck a couple of these and I'm going to incorporate them in because again, that changes drastically in the event that you get them without James Harden against Atlanta. So I think I'm willing to make that risk and just like onslaught some Clippers to try to make up for like the projection gap that exists currently.
No, that's a good trick and a good call out. And I see chat saying I moved a body. No, my dog got into something here because there's stuff all over the floor because I'm packing and she was puking behind me. So
Oh, that seems bad.
I wanted to make sure that it was just puking and nothing more. So now she's standing here staring at me. So that was a little bit of payback.
That'll be my wife later with me. That was a joke. That was a St. Patrick's Day joke.
I think you're seeing into the future. I did not realize how present you actually were.
I am.
There. All right. So you got your 150 uploaded. I'm going to get my
Okay.
150 uploaded. But key things you guys want to be doing is, going with that old stochastic avatar. Go to stochastic.com/avatar, download the stochastic avatar, upload that to your DFS site of choice, finish top 3 in any contest of more than 5,000 people, first, second, or third, 3-way tie for first. That's all good. Anything more than that, that's not a first, second, or third. But send your screenshot to Stochastic HOF on Twitter, showing that Stochastic avatar and your victory, and we will get you any 1-month package you would like, up to $199 there on Stochastic. You can win 1 per calendar year. So check that out. Anything pressing here that you would like to mention? I need about 2 minutes to get this.
Yeah, I'll tell the people a little bit about my exposures, kind of what's going on, because I find this to be a very, very fascinating slate. I mean, I think what's ending up happening is O'Shea Brissett is just kind of getting moved to the top for me. And it has more to do with the fact that he's 3,100, and I like getting to as much Wemby as I possibly can today. I think that's, again, he's nuke of the night for a reason. We were going to get some kind of unlimited value. It's different looking than what I was anticipating, but still, I mean, I think it's very clear cut that you want to play Jordan Poole, you want to play Jason Tatum. Those aren't exactly free pieces, but you're surrounding them with Champagny, you're surrounding them with Baldwin, but like getting to Champagny at 3,100 and then O'Shea Brissett at 3,100, such a high floor to build out with your lineups, and then getting to Wemby, getting to Kawhi, getting to Paul George. I mean, that's really kind of the path that I'm taking to get a little bit different here on this slate. It's almost like Brooklyn, San Antonio doesn't exist outside of Wembanyama. There's a part of me that keeps staring at Cameron Thomas at 6,900 and is like, that could maybe be the dude. I mean, Brooklyn gets the upgrade Spurs matchup and nobody's really looking at it, but I think the value is just too good in the early game. I really don't want to build out 6,900 Cameron Thomas into my lineups or have to like make a path for it. I'm probably going to just stick without him here. I'm just jamming the value early. I like those $3,100 pieces. And then I'm jamming Kawhi Paul George here at the moment.
No, I think that's the way to go. I don't think people are going to get there appropriately.
And also, I will get to Harden if like just as a low owned option to possibly like pan out for me in the event that James Harden ends up playing. He's 8,800. So, I mean, you kind of need to build out some kind of a plan there. But Norman Powell's absence wouldn't exactly be a nothing for Kawhi and Paul George, too. I mean, Amir Coffey at 3,700, you don't really have to entertain on this slate. Daniel Tice, 3,500, you don't really have to entertain on this slate. It would take a Zubac's injury to really pan out for you, considering the value in the early game. But I am very, very much obsessed with getting to Kawhi, Paul George. I'm going to sneak a couple of DeJounte Murrays in here to finish it out, but welcome to the most stars and scrubs slate that we've had in quite some time.
What is your highest owned player? I'm capping my guys at 70. I'm not getting enough, or 60. I'm not getting enough of a split right now. And
I have nearly 100% Jordan Poole.
Oh, you were going that route. Okay.
Yeah. So the thing about Poole is he's 60% owned. We currently have him there. We'll see. Champagne's going to cut some of that, even though Champagne's the guy that I have the second most of at shooting guard. So that's ironic, kind of is what it is. But Tatum, Wemby, Kawhi, Paul George. The best part about all of them is they're all at forward. I think that's the problem that I'm having getting to DeJounte Murray. I'm going to try to just get a share or two, just artificially throw them in here. But yeah, the fact that they're all at forward and center makes me far more likely to get there. So we'll see. Again, I will be mad at myself if DeJounte Murray ends up single-digit owned on this slate, purely because of that fact. 9,800 looks like an overpay, but like I'm pretty positive based on what we've seen from him lately, people will still get there. He'll be double-digit owned, and I'll be okay being light on him. But yeah, I need to get to some.
I'm going with 20% DeJounte.
20%. That sounds like a lovely number. Holmes goes nuts. Yeah, Holmes is really, really good play. I gotta say though, 45, what is he? 4,600. It is it's just one of those slates, man. What are you doing with Drew Holiday? We haven't even said his name, which seems disingenuous.
I just uploaded my lineup, so let me see where I am at. Going to exposure caps. I have not. I've got 50%. Seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Now remember,
Sounds lovely.
I pushed everything down to 60, so it forced up some of these other folks, and that was my intent, was to do that. So
I think I'm just light on Drew. I don't know what it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I did not get a lot of Peyton
15,
Pritchard.
16.
I
have 16 of 150 with Drew. That seems very light. I need to take a look at what I did there.
Holmes or Hauser, if you already have Tatum. I would still play Hauser in both.
Yeah, Hauser's fine. Hauser's by far, he's 4,700. I mean, yeah. I have him for 30 minutes and I'm still having a tough time getting to him.
He is across the industry this weekend. He has been shooting guard, small forward, and power forward, depending on your setup choice.
Yeah, shooting guard, small forward on DK. Holmes or Hauser if you have Tatum. Yeah, for me, it would be Holmes by a lot, for what it's worth. Or you Dagger, Truex, and Gibbs battling. NASCAR. Come on now, people. Come on now.
Hey, it's Bristol, baby.
It's Bristol. Because at the time, I think Eric kind of said Nuke was Wemby. Yes, it is definitely Wembanyama. Get some stars, get some scrubs.
Yep, no panicking. I got 55% of Wemby.
Love.
Who scores more points tonight, Jared Butler or Gerard Butler?
Why would Gerard Butler score points?
300. See what I did?
Oh my God.
All right. We are 90 seconds
out.
Oh
my God.
We're going to go over to playback here. So in just a second, and we will look at quickly some of the late slate stuff, since this one was a bit of a madhouse today. But thank you everybody for popping on in. Hit that like button. Much appreciated if you would do so. And then we got all sorts of good stuff coming on. We got NHL shows. We've got NBA tomorrow. We've got March Madness right around the corner here. We'll see what happens here at Selection Sunday, which should be going on shortly. My alma mater never makes it, and they're not going to make it this year either. So very sad.
Well, my alma mater is going to be a #1 seed potentially, which sounds so made up to say. How is Iowa State? Iowa State played the best game that any team has played in the entire country all year yesterday, and you can't tell me otherwise. Like, that was absurd what they did to Houston.
All right, I'm going to drop the playback link into chat here. Remember, you guys can sign up for playback. You can also, subscribe. We've got about 1,700 subscribers there. You can get the app. I have tried.
Kyrie for the win.
Who?
Kyrie bucket. You got to watch the games more when you're doing the Sunday show, baby. These are good times.
I have enough going on. Oh, Kyrie. I thought you were talking about Tyree. I'm like,
Eric, you missed my $10 super chat. Where is the
shit.
super chat? Let me find out. Super chat. Hustle for it. Is Butler still playable on FanDuel or should it be a fade now? Butler is still playable on FanDuel. Yes.
Apologies. I hustle for it. We owe you. We got your marker, man.
We owe you.
I missed that.
I hustle for it. You were loved.
All right, let's slide on over here to playback. So you guys come on in. We're going to say goodbye on YouTube. We're going to let producer Jacob go have some fun. We'll talk a little more basketball, and then Eric is going to get ready to have some fun. So with that, gamers, you can follow Eric on Twitter, or as they call it, X, at Eric Lindquist. You can find me at EMac DFS, and of course, it is stochastic_CON. With that, gamers, good luck.